Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys anime episode review. This time I'm talking about episode 95, so let's get to it. Episode 95 begins with Jessie and Wobbuffet who are walking through a desert. Jessie says to Wobbuffet, "Hey, you get the feeling that we are lost?" She then wonders how they ended up like this. Jessie and Wobbuffet then fall to the ground and Jessie says, "Was this our fate all along?" She then says, "Farewell, James, Meowth," though she faints before she finishes the sentence. The episode then cuts to a factory in Vermilion City. The narrator tells us that this is 1 week before the opening scene. So, like many movies, this episode began near the end of the story, only to then flash back to sometime before so that we can see what led to the scene that opened the episode or movie. Inside the factory, we see workers that are taking Magikarp-shaped bottles from a conveyor belt so that they can put lids on them. Team Rocket are among these workers. Jessie says that she is tired of these little annoying jobs that they keep taking. James says that their operation funds have hit rock bottom, so they have no choice. And Meowth says that he sometimes wonders what their real career is. Is it being part of Team Rocket or is it the part-time jobs they keep doing? Their work shift soon ends, so they head outside in order to go back home and, coincidentally, they find Pikachu, Ash, and Go, who happen to be in front of the factory. So Team Rocket decides to take this chance to steal Pikachu. Meowth uses a net to catch Pikachu. Team Rocket then remove their disguises and Jessie taunts Ash and Go by saying, "Pikachu got you." In response, Ash sends out Lucario and Go sends out Cinderace. So Jessie and James call for the Gacha Machine so that they can fight back. However, the Gacha Machine gives them a Slackoth and a Slaking. Jessie and James are confused when they see what they got. They are then shocked when they read the description of each Pokemon on the little paper slip that comes with each Pokeball, which say that Slackoth is fittingly known as the slacker Pokemon, and that Slaking is the world's laziest Pokemon. Meowth reassures Jessie and James by saying that when Slackoth and Slaking unleash all the energy they have stored by lazing around, they will be super powerful. Jessie and James believe Meowth, and they confidently tell Slackoth and Slaking to attack by using Slackoff. But Slackoff and Slaking do nothing, or rather, they do exactly what they are told to do. They slack off. Jessie and James get angry and they exclaim, "What's going on? Why didn't you attack? You were supposed to attack." But Slackoth and Slaking simply return to their Pokeballs, which confuses Jessie and James. Yeah, this Slackoff and this Slaking definitely live up to their reputation, and they are nothing like the ones Norman has. So Lucario and Cinderace use Aura Sphere and Pyro Ball respectively on the defenseless Team Rocket, who blast off again, leaving Pikachu behind. As they blast off, Team Rocket crash into Pelipper, who ends up blasting off as well. Team Rocket and Pelipper then land in a forest. James is worried that they will get scolded by Matori again, while Meowth says that he is tired of writing apology letters. Jessie then does an impression of Matori with a hand puppet to show just how much she dislikes Matori, and it's funny that Pelipper finds this impression funny, and it laughs as a result. James then points out that the Pokemon they got today from the Gacha Machine were completely useless. Meowth adds that they failed because of these Pokemon. Pelipper tries to get away because it knows that it will be blamed for this, but Jessie stops Pelipper. Jessie and James want to know why they could not get better Pokemon. Meowth translates Pelipper's response, which is that the Gacha Machine is all about luck. Sometimes you get good things from it, and sometimes you get bad things from it. As someone that plays a lot of gacha games like Genshin Impact, this definitely struck a chord with me. I can really relate to this statement. Pelipper then says that to change one's life is to change one's luck. Everyone has equal opportunities. Jessie gets angry because Pelipper is saying all these philosophical things instead of giving them a straight answer. So, Pelipper bites Jessie, which is funny, and it reminds me of when James would face a similar situation because of his victory bell. Pelipper then spits Jessie out and it flies away. James then has an idea. If they follow Pelipper, they might be able to meet the person who puts the Pokemon in the Gacha Machine. Jessie says that she won't be satisfied until she gives them a piece of her mind, and so they all decide to follow Pelipper. I can also relate to this sentiment as someone that plays a lot of gacha games. Sometimes I just have a lot of bad luck and I wish that I could complain to the people behind the game. I wish I could complain about the terrible rates. So Team Rocket follow Pelipper on their balloon. Jessie says if only I could soar on the wind and roam free like these clouds. This makes James realize that all they have done recently is missions and receive lectures for failing said missions. Meowth adds that they have also done a lot of apologizing for failing their missions. Jessie says that all of this wears you down, and so they are all happy because they are currently in a soothing environment that allows them to finally relax for a bit. However, their peace is short-lived, since they soon spot a Swablu who is poking their balloon. James mentions that Swablu is the blue bird that brings happiness, so Jessie says that they should catch it so that they can catch some happiness, which should improve their luck. But Swablu easily avoids Team Rocket and it uses Dragon Breath to destroy their balloon. So much for Swablu being the bird of happiness. So, Team Rocket blasts off again for the second time in this episode. And just like before, they take Pelipper with them by crashing into it. This time they also take what's left of their balloon with them. Team Rocket land on the sea this time, but luckily for them, they have the basket of their balloon to stand on. While Pelipper happily swims around chasing Wishy-Washy. Team Rocket decide to keep chasing after Pelipper in this situation, which is funny, since they basically treat the basket of their balloon like a boat, and they row with their hands. However, a Waylord soon emerges. Team Rocket and Pelipper hilariously try to outrun, or rather outswim, Waylord, but they can't and so they are swallowed up by Waylord. Surprisingly, there is an entire ship inside of Waylord, which Team Rocket hold on to. What is this, Pinocchio? I guess that Waylord does not discriminate when it comes to food. Hopefully this ship was abandoned when Waylord ate it. Team Rocket soon board the ship and they wonder if they are really inside of Waylord. Meowth says that they are lucky to be alive after being swallowed like that. Despite the dire situation, Pelipper continues to swim around without a care in the world. Jessie scolds Pelipper because of this, and someone soon repeats part of what Jessie says to Pelipper. Team Rocket thinks that there is someone else in here, like say, maybe Pinocchio. But it turns out that it's just a Shatot. Meowth talks to it and he finds out that Shatot has been living here ever since it was swallowed by Waylord. James wonders how long Shatot has been here. Shatot reveals that it has been here for as long as the ship has been here. Since the ship is rusty, Jessie realizes that Shatot has been here for a while. Which makes you wonder how Shatot has survived for so long. I guess that it eats whatever it can find that ends up finding its way into Waylord. James says that if they do nothing, they might end up staying here for as long as Shatot. Meaning that they might end up like dried up mummies. Or like, wooden puppets. Jessie refuses to let this happen and Meowth says that there must be something they can do. James then has an idea. They can use the Gacha Machine since Pelipper still has it. However, Pelipper refuses to let them use it and it tries to run away. But Team Rocket tried to open Pelipper's mouth by force. Pelipper fights back saying that its job is to deliver the Gacha Machine to agents that need it. Until this moment arrives, it will not let the Gacha Machine out of its mouth. Jessie tells Pelipper to drop the cool act and James says that they are the agents that need the Gacha Machine. Team Rocket finally force open Pelipper's mouth, but instead of spitting out the Gacha Machine, Pelipper spits out a hydro pump or a water gun or a move like this, which hits the inside of Waylord, who ends up ejecting Team Rocket, Pelipper, and Shatot. So they are all finally free. Waylord happens to be in an icy region when it does this, meaning that it has traveled a bit in the time that Team Rocket and Pelipper were in its belly. Also, since this is the last time we see Waylord in this episode, I do want to say here that it's funny that a Waylord appears in an episode that talks about gachas and their focus on chance and luck, since whale is a term used for high spenders that circumvent said focus on chance and luck with a lot of money. In fact, I have a group of friends that play a lot of gacha games and some of us are jokingly called Waylords from time to time. Team Rocket, Pelipper, and Shatot then slide on the ice, and they end up crashing into a big mountain of ice. Jessie and James wonder where they are, and they realize that all they can see is ice. Meowth says that it's freezing, and Shatot repeats this while flying away. Jessie says goodbye to Shatot, while saying that she is glad that it was able to escape. Pelipper then flies away as well, and James says goodbye to Pelipper while saying thank you to it, because they were able to escape because of it. Jessie then says, wait, weren't we following Pelipper? So Team Rocket begins chasing after Pelipper again. They follow Pelipper around a corner and they end up running into a mammoth swine, which scares Team Rocket. However, they manage to ride on mammoth swine by using Meowth as bait. This happens off screen, so we don't know how Team Rocket manages to do this. But hey, it works since they are able to chase Pelipper more effectively. Hours later, Team Rocket ends up lost in the middle of a snowy mountain at night and with no idea of where Pelipper went. Meowth does see a village in the distance, but the rest of the team falls off Mammoth Swine because they are so hungry that they are out of strength. So Mammoth Swine runs off into the woods and Team Rocket makes their way to the village that Meowth saw earlier on foot. However, a blizzard is now raging around them and they start fainting one by one before reaching the village. Jessie is the last one to fall and when she blacks out, the screen cuts to black. Team Rocket soon wakes up on some couches inside of a cabin with a fireplace in front of them. They wonder where they are and what's going on, but before they can wonder for too long, they realize that there is a bunch of food on a nearby table, so they proceed to eat said food like wild animals since they are very hungry, and the food turns out to be quite delicious. The person that saved them and that prepared this meal for them soon appears alongside her Raticate. The two of them bring more food, and the lady says that Team Rocket should not be in such a hurry to eat, since there is much more food. Now this lady is of course none other than Cassidy, who we have not seen in the anime since the episode Sleight of Sand, which was 649 episodes prior to this episode. Now for some reason, Jessie, James, and Meowth don't recognize her right away. James even says, "I don't know who you are," before saying, "Wait, where have I seen you before?" In response to this, Cassidy begins to recite her motto. This makes Team Rocket remember her as they recall when she would recite this motto alongside Butch in the past. And we do get to see their entire motto as a flashback. Team Rocket are immediately on edge when they remember Cassidy, and Jessie wonders what Cassidy is doing here. James says that Cassidy must be on a mission for Team Rocket. However, Cassidy reveals that she actually quit Team Rocket. Jessie says that there is no way that Cassidy left Team Rocket. Cassidy goes on to say that Team Rocket is not all there is to life, which leaves Jessie, James, and Meowth in awe. Cassidy goes on to say that she was an elite within Team Rocket, unlike Jessie, James, and Meowth. But still, she eventually just got tired of the daily routine of missions, lectures, and apologies. This, of course, sounds familiar since this is what Jessie, James, and Meowth were complaining about earlier in the episode. Cassidy then says that she now runs a cafe and that she does wood carvings as a hobby. We do get a close-up of her wood carvings, and it's cool that she carved the Pokemon she used in the past, namely Houndour, Sableye, Drowsy, and Granbull. She then tells Team Rocket that they can stay here and rest until they recover their strength. But Jessie refuses to do this, saying that they need to repay Cassidy for saving them. Cassidy tells them to do as they please, and so Team Rocket helps Cassidy by cooking, cutting wood, lighting the fireplace, serving customers, and removing snow from the roof. And they do all of this with varying degrees of success. Team Rocket then sit down to eat a snack after working hard. They all agree that a meal after a hard day of work tastes great. Jessie says that she would not mind living like this, and James then wonders how they got here in the first place. Just as they all wonder the same thing, Pelipper coincidentally flies by, and so Team Rocket remembers that they were chasing Pelipper. Jessie says that they have repaid Cassidy enough, so they should chase after Pelipper. However, James is hesitant to leave. He says that they should not leave without saying goodbye to Cassidy since she took good care of them, so it would be rude to just abandon her. Jessie tells James that he can stay with Cassidy if he wants to. Jessie and Meowth both tell James that they saw how happy he was when he and Cassidy were making a wood carving of a bottle cap. Bottle caps are something that James loves. Now I have to say that they do look cute together. They could make for a great couple. James tries to refuse the offer, but Jessie and Meowth say that there's more to life than Team Rocket, and that James has worked hard enough already. With teary eyes, James decides to stay, and so they all share a handshake. Jessie, Meowth, and Wobbuffet then run after Pelipper, leaving James behind. And Jessie is clearly crying as she leaves. Now at this point I was like, wait, are they really leaving James behind? The title of the episode does include Farewell Team Rocket. So I thought, could this episode really be the end of Team Rocket? Could this be an episode like Bye Bye Butterfree but for Team Rocket? I soon thought, no way, right? No way they are getting rid of Team Rocket. There must be a catch. Something is going to happen. Jessie, Meowth, and Wobbuffet soon reach a small town by a cliffside. A sign in the far corner of the town says that this is where the ground type ends and where the water type begins, revealing that this is the end of this country or continent or body of land or whatever, which means that they chased Pelipper to the end of the world, literally. Jessie and Wobbuffet then say that they are very hungry, and Meowth realizes that there is a good smell going around. They all follow the smell, which takes them to a nearby bakery. They are soon greeted by a familiar-looking Meowth that has ribbons on her. Meowth says that she looks exactly like his first love, Meowsy. It does make more sense that she is just a Meowsy look-alike and not the actual Meowsy, because why would the actual Meowsy be here? I fully expected to see a look-alike instead of the real thing. So, Jessie, Meowth, and Wobbuffet are soon greeted by another familiar face. None other than good old Butch, who we also have not seen since the episode Slide of Sand, which again was 649 episodes prior to this episode. Butch is shocked to see Jessie and Meowth, and it's funny how his head becomes huge when he screams. Just like with Cassidy, Jessie and Meowth do not remember Butch for some reason. So, Jessie says, "Who are you?" Like with Cassidy, this makes Butch recite his motto, but before he can recite much of it, Jessie and Meowth realize who he is, and Jessie exclaims, "It's Kosanji," which is wrong since Butch's name in Japanese is Kosaburo. Butch does exclaim, "It's Kosaburo," in response. This is half of the classic and funny gag that would always happen in the past with Butch. No one could ever get his name right, and he would have to correct them. Also, I love that they all have big heads here, which is funny. So, Butch gives some bread to Jessie, Meowth, and Wobbuffet, who find the bread delicious. Butch then decides to reveal his situation, but Jessie interrupts him by saying that she knows what he is going to say. That he quit Team Rocket because he got tired of the daily routine of missions, lectures, and apologies. Butch is annoyed by this because he wanted to be the one to disclose such an important revelation. Meowth says that they know this because they met Cassidy, which surprises Butch. Now I have to say that it is disappointing that Cassidy and Butch are not together. They were partners when they were in Team Rocket, so just like with Jessie and James, it feels like they should always be together. So I expected to see Cassidy and Butch running a cafe or bakery together in this episode. Instead, they went their separate ways after leaving Team Rocket, which is unfortunate. So Jessie says, "Alright Kosaburo, it's time to repay you with some hard work." And Butch exclaims, "It's Kosanji!" Oh wait, you got it right. This is the other half of the classic and funny Butch gag. Characters would eventually get his name right, but he would still correct them out of habit only to realize that they did get the name right. So Jessie, Meowth, and Wobbuffet help Butch by baking bread, cleaning the bakery, and by organizing the bread. After they work hard, we pretty much get a repeat of what happened after they helped Cassidy, albeit with some changes to who says what and who does what. So they once again sit down to eat a snack after working hard. They all once again agree that a meal after a hard day of work tastes great. Jessie once again says that she would not mind living like this. And this time, Meowth is the one that wonders how they got here in the first place. Again, just as they are all wondering the same thing, Pelipper coincidentally flies by, and so they once again remember that they were chasing Pelipper. Jessie again says that they have repaid their savior enough, so they should chase after Pelipper. This time, Meowth is the one that is hesitant to leave. Like with James, Jessie tells Meowth that he can stay if he wants to. Like James, Meowth is reluctant to accept. Again, like with James, Jessie tells Meowth that she saw how happy he was during his stay. In Meowth's case, he was very happy with the Meowsy look-alike. Meowth tries to refuse the offer just like James did, but Jessie once again says that there is more to life than Team Rocket, and that Meowth has worked hard enough already. Meowth then says that Jessie has worked hard enough already as well, meaning that she also deserves to rest. But Jessie tears up and she leaves with Wobbuffet to chase after Pelipper, leaving Meowth behind. Just like before, Jessie is clearly crying as she leaves. Though Meowth does give them a parting gift, a Wobbuffet balloon, which allows Jessie and Wobbuffet to chase Pelipper. It's fitting that this is a Wobbuffet balloon and not the traditional Meowth balloon, since they are leaving Meowth behind. Now again, I thought here, could it be? Is this really the end of Team Rocket? At this point, I started to believe this more, though I was still skeptical. So Jessie and Wobbuffet continue to chase Pelipper, but their chase is cut short by a familiar face. Swablu is back once again, and this time, it pecks a hole on the balloon. Just like before, Jessie and Wobbuffet try to catch Swablu, and Swablu once again avoids capture. And it uses Dragon Breath to destroy the balloon, and so Jessie and Wobbuffet blast off again for the third time in this episode. And just like before, they take Pelipper along with them by crashing into it. Man, Swablu must really hate Team Rocket. Or it just loves balloons, or it just loves to cause trouble. In any case, it is definitely not the blue bird of happiness. Jessie and Wobbuffet end up landing in a desert, which takes us to the scene that began this episode. Jessie and Wobbuffet walk in said desert until they faint. This is where the opening scene ends, however, now we get to see the continuation of this scene. James and Meowth called out to Jessie, telling her to wake up. They also hit her repeatedly. Jessie wonders what they are doing here, and they both say that they are here to save their friend in need. And they start to hit Jessie more, which angers Jessie. And she wakes up in order to scold them. However, it turns out that she was dreaming, and a sand shrew is what has been hitting her. After realizing that she was dreaming, Jessie wakes up Wobbuffet and she tells Wobbuffet not to drop dead yet, because they need to follow Pelipper. They decide to keep going, but they soon fall into a sand pit that has a trapinch at the bottom. This reminds me of episode 36 of Pokemon Journeys, because this very same thing happened to other people in that episode. Jessie and Wobbuffet try to escape, but they have no strength to do so. Jessie then recalls what Pelipper said earlier. To change one's life is to change one's luck. And she concludes that they were just unlucky to the bitter end. And she resigns herself to her fate. However, James, Meowth, and Pelipper soon come to the rescue. Jessie wonders why James and Meowth are here. James says that Cassidy kicked them out because Morpeko ate all the food at the cafe. He then saw Pelipper and he decided to chase after it. Meowth, on the other hand, left on his own with a broken heart. After he found out that the Meowsy lookalike is good friends with a Persian that rules the town. He then saw James chasing Pelipper and he decided to follow them. Man, poor Meowth just can't catch a break when it comes to love, especially when a Persian is around. At this point, Persian should just be renamed to Mr. Steal Your Girl. Now it's funny that the insert song, Meowth's Ballad, plays in the background when James and Meowth explain what happened to them. It's also funny that Jessie tells them to save the details for later because she is currently in need of help. And she screams, "Do something already." James and Meowth try to help, but they end up falling into the sand pit as well, much to Jessie's annoyance. James says that it's fine, they still have luck on their side, and Meowth tells Pelipper to help. But Pelipper refuses because it has no more space in its mouth due to the Gacha Machine. Jessie tells Pelipper to spit out the Gacha Machine, but Pelipper refuses. So Team Rocket slips closer and closer to the trapinch, and to certain doom. However, Pelipper soon spits the Gacha Machine out, which hits Trapinch, and Pelipper then saves Team Rocket. So in the end, Pelipper is not such a cold-hearted Pokemon after all. It sacrificed its precious Gacha Machine so that it could save Team Rocket. Pelipper then leaves, and Team Rocket says goodbye to it. As they wave at Pelipper, they realize that life is just like the Gacha Machine. It's based on chance. Sometimes you get lucky and you get good things. Other times you are unlucky and you get bad things. Sometimes good things turn out to be bad things. And sometimes bad things turn out to be good things. I think that this is a good life lesson and I can relate to it not only when it comes to gacha games, but also when it comes to life itself. So Team Rocket ultimately learned a valuable lesson with this adventure. They then wonder how they are getting home, and they soon run into Ash and Go, who are coincidentally here. Now it's interesting that Ash and Go are riding boards here that are being pulled by Dragonite and Beedrill, which is what happened in episode 14 of Pokemon Journeys. Jessie then has an idea. She tells Ash to say, "What are you guys up to?" Ash honors her request, and Team Rocket uses this as a segue into their motto. So, they recite their motto, and during their motto, Team Rocket's theme starts playing, which is another insert song from a previous series. This episode is the first one of Pokemon Journeys to use an insert song from a previous series. After their motto, Jessie exclaims that Team Rocket really is her life after all, and that they will steal Pikachu. But Pikachu uses Thunderbolt on Team Rocket, who happily take the attack since they are now embracing their purpose in life, which is to be part of Team Rocket, and so they blast off again while smiling. This is the third time in this episode that James and Meowth blast off, and it's the fourth time that Jessie and Wobbuffet blast off in this episode. I guess that they were trying to set a new record of blasting off in this episode. Ash and Go are confused because Team Rocket were smiling as they blasted off. Team Rocket happened to land in the factory where they were working at the beginning of the episode, and they rejoice because again, they have now accepted their lot in life. So in the end, this episode was not the end of Team Rocket, which is not really a surprise, though they did make me wonder if this would be the case throughout the episode. But that's the episode. So overall, this was a fun episode. Now, I did expect something totally different from this episode going into it, since I thought that Cassidy and Butch would be together, that Jessie, James, and Meowth would run into them, and that most of the episode would focus on this, on their interactions and their problems. I did not expect that instead, this episode would focus on a pilgrimage essentially, that Team Rocket go on unintentionally. What began as a simple quest to follow Pelipper turned into a grand adventure that spanned several different regions, climates, and locations. An adventure that ended with Team Rocket learning a valuable life lesson with the help of two familiar faces that have not appeared in the anime in a long time. So the episode ended up being quite different than what I expected, which is both good and bad. It's good because it was still a fun and enjoyable episode that felt almost like a small movie. I like how varied it was because of the different settings and because it was constantly shifting from one event to another, ensuring that the episode never stagnated. Instead, it was constantly in motion, giving us more and more new moments to enjoy. Which is why it feels like Team Rocket went on a pilgrimage. And it's great that they learned such a good lesson by the end. However, this format is bad because Cassidy and Butch were just temporary stops in Team Rocket's journey. Stops that did delight, yes. Stops that provided some nice moments. And that served the greater purpose of the episode, of helping Team Rocket find and accept their lot in life. By allowing Team Rocket to learn and experience other ways of living, and by having them learn that there is more to life than just Team Rocket, only to have them still go back to being the same old Team Rocket by the end, because they realize that being in Team Rocket is their one true calling. The problem is that I wanted Cassidy and Butch to have a bigger role. I wanted to see them argue and banter with Jessie and James, and I wanted to see them all go on an adventure or mission together. This would have been so much fun. But alas, this did not happen. In fact, James did not even get to see Butch. I think that it is a huge shame that Cassidy and Butch played such a small role in this episode. It really is disappointing, especially when you consider that we have not seen them in the anime in a long time. This is my one and only gripe with the episode. Well, this and the fact that Cassidy and Butch went their separate ways after leaving Team Rocket. They really should have stuck together, especially since they are running a cafe and a bakery respectively, which can be easily combined into one. But this episode was still good despite these two things, and I really appreciate it for what it is. An entertaining and amusing one-off adventure filled with ups, downs, and memorable encounters that taught an important lesson to the characters that undertook said adventure. But that's the video, as always. Leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.